My name is Amanda. I'm with Miss Tanisha, and we are with the Tampa Hillsborough County Public Library. This is actually day 2 of a full week we are doing of computer science education. So we will be putting links for upcoming programs in the discussion section. Go ahead and feel free to check that at any time, because I will also be sharing the links that we shared yesterday and that we will be sharing in the program. So without further ado, I am going to pass it over to Tanisha, and we are going to get into part 2 of Code a Dance Party.
All right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Computer Science Education Week, Code a Dance Party. And again, as Amanda mentioned, this is the second part, but don't fear, don't worry. Even if you did miss yesterday's presentation, that's fine. You'll still be able to learn a little bit of stuff here today. So I want to go ahead and jump right in because we have a lot of stuff to cover, and I want to finish our super awesome dance party. So I am going to turn off my camera so that we can get started. So Computer Science Education Week is sponsored by code.org. They're also the people associated with Hour of Code, which is something you may have heard of before. So it is a really awesome resource, something that is really cool. They have a bunch of really cool mini projects on there, projects that could be done in an hour, projects that might even take a little bit longer than that. And we're going to take a deeper dive into code.org on Thursday, this coming Thursday, same time, same place, when we talk about coding resources for kids. So I am going to go ahead and jump into our dance party. So if you were with me yesterday, you might notice that your screen looks a little bit different than it did yesterday. So this is the already completed project. And the reason why I want to share it with you guys before we jump into the coding part is you kind of want to know what our dance party is going to look like so you know how to do it on the back end. So as you probably remembered yesterday, if you were with us yesterday, we coded our green dino friend here. So he or she was already dancing, and we decided to add in some friends. So we added in a pterodactyl and our red dinosaur dude or dudette here. So I'm going to go ahead and run a finished product of the code so you guys can get an understanding of what the end product will be. So I'm going to click the green flag, and you'll notice my little pterodactyl dude is doing some backflips, and my little red dinosaur dude or dudette is doing some of their own cool dance moves as well. You may have missed how I started. In fact, let me start that again so you can see that. So I'm going to start it one more time so you can see. You may notice that my red dino friend is not dancing, but when I move my mouse across the screen, he starts dancing. So that's something that you're going to learn how to do today. So this is going to be the end product of our dance party. So let's jump in and start coding some stuff. So I'm going to go to my stuff. My stuff is where all of the projects that you previously worked on are kept. I'm just going to bring up the one that we'll be working with this evening. Uh-oh. Let's start that again. And it looks like it's taken a minute to get going here. It's a little slow, but that's okay. We'll just wait a minute. And we're still waiting. It's a great thing about the internet, makes you wait a minute. But while we're waiting for that, on your My Stuff screen, you have the option to share projects. You also have the option to not share projects. So you got a whole bunch of different things there that you can do. And I may have to just go in a different way. My apologies, guys. Just gonna go ahead and go in that way. Let's see if it'll let me access my projects now. Or maybe I'm just gonna have to bring up a whole new screen. Let's try that. My apologies, guys. That Scratch wants to be really, really slow this evening. Ah, there we go. All right, Dino Dance Party, see inside. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in there. All right, so as you can see, this is what we worked on yesterday. So this is how we changed the different looks for our dinosaur. And when I press the green flag, you can see our dino friend moving. So you may notice all of the other stuff that I just showed you, none of that is happening. That's because we haven't coded it yet. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the code. When you want to code different sprites or different elements of your project, you have to ensure that you are working with that particular sprite. So if you look on the bottom right-hand side of your screen, you'll notice that the green dinosaur is highlighted. So we're going to, and actually let me see if I can switch those over, because we're actually going to code our pterodactyl friend first. So I'm going to click on our pterodactyl friend. And you'll notice that now I have a blank workspace. And that's exactly what I want because we are working with our pterodactyl friend specifically. So we want to make sure that he's selected. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So if you remember from yesterday, our events blocks, and I'm on the left-hand side of the screen now, are what trigger or what start our code. So if you remember from yesterday, our dino friend, his code starts when we press the green flag. So we're going to want to make sure that we do the same thing for our pterodactyl friend. So I'm going to drag out a green flag. And of course, that means when we press the green flag, then our whole line of code is going to start. So if you remember earlier, we had our pterodactyl friend starting at a certain place, and we had him doing backflips. So how do we do that? So the first thing I want to do is make sure that our pterodactyl friend, when we start running the code, so when we press the green flag, he's in a certain place on the stage. So I want him or her to be a little bit lower. So kind of like on that horizon line. So I am going to put our pterodactyl friend right here. So I just dragged it down with my mouse. And so you'll notice right below here, our X and our Y values. A lot of you guys are probably learning about X and Y, the X axis and the Y axis at school. So in Scratch, it essentially works the same way. So remember, your X axis runs horizontally and your Y axis runs vertically. So how do I make sure that our pterodactyl friend stays there when we start running the code? I'm going to go up to our motion blocks. And I am going to select the go to X and Y. So Scratch makes it very easy for you. So once you position your sprite on where you want it to be on the stage, then all you have to do is drag out that block and already have those values filled in for you. Now, of course, you can change them. As you can see, I can highlight them. I can change them at any time, but because I already selected where I wanted our pterodactyl friend to be, I don't have to do anything else. So what this means is when I press the green flag, our pterodactyl friend will automatically start from this location. So the other thing I want to make sure, because remember, we're making them do backflips. So right now, if you go to direction, our pterodactyl friend is at 90 degrees, and you can click on word direction and you can see that he's sitting upright at 90 degrees. So how do I make sure that he stays at 90 degrees, that he isn't in the middle of a backflip? So we are going to drag out the point in direction block from our motion blocks. So what do these two blocks mean when you put them together? And let me click out of that. That means that when we press the green flag, our pterodactyl friend will be sitting at 15 and 11, X and Y, and be sitting upright. So he won't be in the middle of a backflip. He'll be exactly where we need him to be. All right, so we're going to move on, and you'll remember with our control blocks that they control the different elements of the code. And if you remember, I'm going to click back over to our dinosaur friend real quick. We need that forever block to make sure that our codes are continuously running when we press the green flag. So it doesn't only try to do it once and then stop. So I'm going to flip back over to my dinosaur friend, and I'm going to drag out a forever block. Now, you may be asking, why isn't the X and the Y in the forever block? Because we don't necessarily need that part of our code to be running forever, because we only need that to happen once. So once we establish that we want our pterodactyl friend to be where he currently is right now, when we press the green flag, we don't have to worry about that constantly repeating. We know we only need that to happen once. So how do we get our pterodactyl friend to do backflips? Let's have him do backflips. And you have the option, and you'll see my mouse is kind of circling the blocks that control how many degrees you can rotate your sprite. So today we'll have him go to the right. So I'm going to drag out the turn 15 degrees. And something else you may want to remember is that you can run your code whenever you want. So if you just want to test it out and see what it looks like, so I can press the green flag now. And ooh, he's going nuts. He's going crazy. He's going nuts. So if you wanted to, you could have your pterodactyl friend just flying like that, but we're going to go ahead and stop him, and he's going to be suspended in midair real quick. But you'll see that we have our pterodactyl friend turning 15 degrees continuously to the right, but we don't necessarily want him to do that. We want him to kind of have some dance moves there too. So let's add in some dance moves. And also, I want him to be flying up. So how do I get him to fly up? So if I want him to fly up, I want to change his position on the y-axis. Remember that y-axis is what runs up and down or vertically. I want to change his position on the y-axis. So I am going to drag out a change y by 10. So that means now, let's go ahead and run it and see what happens, that now he'll fly up. But again, that's going really, really fast. And you'll notice when I start the code, you'll notice that it starts at that spot that we selected. So let me just drag him down so you guys can see him. So let's slow him down a little bit. So if you remember from yesterday, and I'm going to click over to my dinosaur friend, that sprites have costumes. So right now he's just flipping. He's not flapping his wings. I want him to flap his wings. So let's take a look at the costumes available for our pterodactyl friend. So I'm going to go back to the costumes. And that's going to be in looks. And I've already, for time's sake, I've already found the ones that control how he looks when he flies. So I am going to drag those two out. So A and C are the two costumes that we are going to work with this evening. So let's see what happens. Still not quite what we want. So let's add some other stuff in. So you probably remember from yesterday that we also have the weight blocks. So the weight blocks slow down our sprites a little bit so they're not just flying all over the place all willy-nilly. So let me just change some things around here. Kind of got some stuff out of order. So change Y by 10. We're going to switch to A. We're going to wait 1 second. We're going to switch to B, to C, and we're going to wait 1 second. So let's see what happens now. So now he's turning, but he's turning really, really, really slow. So let's speed him up a little bit. So I'm going to change my wait time to 0.5 seconds. And he's also turning really slow. So let me run it again so you can see what I'm talking about. So he's not really making he's not really doing a backflip. He's taking forever to do his backflip. So how are we going to make his backflip happen a little bit faster? We are going to change how many degrees our pterodactyl friend turns to the right. So I'm going to move that up to 30. So let's see what happens now. Fantastic. So now my pterodactyl friend is moving a little bit quicker. He's doing his backflip. He's doing some cool moves. He's flying upwards. That's exactly what we want. So you may be thinking to yourself, okay, cool. Now we're done with our pterodactyl friend. What happens next? So there are several different ways in Scratch where you can start a code. So we've been working with the green flag, but there's another way that you can start your code. So let's say, for instance, or what we're going to do today is that I don't want my red dino friend to start dancing until my mouse touches my pterodactyl friend. So how do we make that happen? So if we go back to our events blocks, there is a block that is the when I receive block. So how do you use this block? You basically broadcast a message or you send out a message. So when the code receives the message, and since we're wanting to touch the want our pterodactyl friend to start when we touch him with the cursor, I'm just going to use touch. This is going to make a lot more sense here within a minute, so bear with me. So with this block, this means that I'm starting a brand new line of code. This particular line of code is not going to start until it receives the message touch. So how do I code this? How do I make it work with my red dino friend? So let's see. We're going to let that sit there for a minute, and we're going to jump over to my friend there. And actually, I got a little bit messed up because that block should actually be in with my red friend. So my apologies there. So when I receive touch, actually it's when green flag clicked, and we're going to go to our if then block. We're going to leave that there for a minute, and we're going to jump over to our red dino friend. So let's give our dino friend some cool moves. So remember, this one isn't going to start until we move our mouse. So let's go ahead and get him some cool moves. Oops. I'm going to let that block sit here for a minute. All right, so remember, our dino friend isn't going to start until our mouse touches our pterodactyl friend. So when we receive touch, let's give him some cool moves. So remember, we'll need our forever block. We're going to need some costume blocks. I'm going to drag out 2. We are going to need some move blocks. I'm going to drag out 2. And we are going to need some weight blocks. I'm going to drag out 2. So you probably already know this part, how we're going to have our dino friend move. So we're going to have him move 10 steps. And the cool thing about these blocks is that you can arrange them in any order you want. If you want to switch up your Dino's moves, you can switch them any way you'd like. And I'm going to have him at 0.5. So I am going to do something a little bit different here because I want him to move back and forth. So how do you make them go left and right? We're going to add in -10. Let's jump back to our pterodactyl. So we're going to need our forever block because remember, we want our code to be running the whole time in the background. And I'm also going to introduce a new block here. This is called our if-then block. So what does this block mean? So kind of like an if-then statement if you're at that point at school. So if, and I'm going to go down to my sensing blocks. So think of your sensing blocks as a trigger. So if, remember, we're using the mouse pointer to decide when this code starts. So if I am touching my mouse to my pterodactyl friend, then we are going to broadcast. Remember, if we jump back over to our dino friend, if you broadcast something, somebody has to be there to receive it. So when we press the green flag, if my mouse is touching our pterodactyl friend, we are going to broadcast touch. That's going to make a lot more sense here in a minute. And if we jump back over to our red dino friend's code, when he receives the message touch, which means that when I touch my mouse, my cursor to my pterodactyl friend, that he or she is going to start, we're going to say she is going to start dancing. So let's run our code and see what happens. So right now we got our green dino friend dancing, we got our pterodactyl doing some backflips. I'm going to touch the mouse over my pterodactyl friend, and now everybody is dancing. So as a recap, because I know we got a little confused there, because I got a little confused in my notes, and I'm sorry about that. So let's go over what we just did this evening. So we started with our pterodactyl friend, and we decided that we wanted him to start at a certain place on our stage, and we wanted him to start at these coordinates, and we wanted him to be facing straight up. We wanted him to do a backflip essentially, so this line of the code is our pterodactyl friend doing a backflip, and we didn't want our red dino friend to start dancing until our pterodactyl friend started doing his backflip. So this part of the code says that when we start the code, that if we're touching our pterodactyl friend with our mouse pointer, then we're going to broadcast the message touch. So we're broadcasting the message to the rest of the code to go ahead and go. So of course, when you're broadcasting something, somebody has to be there to receive it. So when our red dino friend receives the message touch, then she is going to start dancing. So I'm going to run that one more time. And there we go. You all have just coded your dino dance party. You should give yourselves a round of applause. That was a lot of fun. And so that is the end of the coding portion of the program. We got a few more minutes for questions. Amanda, let me know if there are any questions on. I'm going to go ahead and put myself back on the camera.
Okay. So this is a reminder, if you go to your control panel, there is the question section there. Now I'm going to go ahead while you guys are typing in some of your questions. I'm going to put our link for tomorrow's program, which will also be at 5:30, which is Computer Science Education Week, Keeping Connected Kids Safe. So I'm going to put that direct link right there. And let's go ahead and pull up the question section. Okay.
And so before you get started, Amanda, a few notes about tomorrow's program. While it is very informative for the entire family, and it is definitely family friendly, this is what I would consider the very special episode of Computer Science Education Week. So everything else is more fun. We're talking about the fun coding resources, how to code a dance party, but we are going to be going into a more serious subject of computer safety, internet safety for kids. So while I do encourage the whole family to watch it because it is very much family friendly, it is definitely it's geared towards parents and caregivers. I just wanted to give that heads up, although I highly recommend that if you are a parent or caregiver watching it, that you definitely want to tune in because we got some good stuff we'll be talking about tomorrow.
And that is actually good. That was our first question, is the audience tomorrow for the parents or for the kids or for both? And it sounds like it is, while both can attend, it's more of a parent program or an adult program to help the kids in your life stay safe on the computer, which is super important. If you want to have fun, you've got to learn how to be safe on there as well. Okay.
And so not just parents, it is for anybody who it does come in regular contact with kids. As a little sneak peek, one of the things that we definitely tell, and as library employees are consistently telling the adults that we know, is that we encourage children to tell any trusted adult if they're having any issues in regards to internet safety. So it's for anybody that comes in regular contact with kids. All right, sorry.
No, very good. That is good. Okay, so our first question is so they want to make sure the resources you are showing today are completely free resources, correct?
Scratch is 100% free. You technically don't even have to have an account, although if you want to save your projects, you do need an account. But basically, all you need is an email address. Scratch is 100% completely, totally free.
And that is actually a good question, too, because as you saw, the account is also, if you want to create an account within, that's like what we did from part 1 to part 2, where if you do a little work and then you want to go and come back. So that would be the benefit of doing the account there. So we're not, as we're finishing the program and they're kind of absorbing a lot of that information, just a reminder once again that both parts 1 and 2 are going to be put on our library YouTube channel. So if you do want to go back and revisit that, you can watch the video, you can have Scratch pulled up, and you can do it a little more step by step at home, pause the video, do the part of the program, kind of do it back and forth. And then Tanisha, we still have 3 days left of the week. We know it's coming up tomorrow. Can you give us a little preview for Thursday and Friday as well?
Yeah, so again, we are going to take a little bit of a serious detour tomorrow, but we're going to jump right back into the fun on Thursday and Friday. So Thursday, we have coding resources for kids. So this one, we're going to be showcasing a lot of free resources for coding, and based on some feedback that I've gotten from people in our programs, we're also going to be talking a little bit about why coding is important for kids to learn. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that. And then on Friday, we have coding resources for adults. So this one is going to cover more than, we're going to be talking about coding for personal enrichment, but we'll also be covering resources that may help you in school or a career as well. So more fun stuff, a lot of fun computer science stuff. I'm really excited about it. I hope you guys are really excited about it. We got some wonderful programs planned for you.
Very cool. So not just the how to code, but where to code and why to code maybe will be the coming up, which will be very cool. Okay, well, it looks like we are just about out of time. So Tanisha's pulled up the contact information. If you have any questions about anything the library resources we've shared or anything we've gone over today, or just using your library card, definitely give us a call or contact us at hcplc.org/connect. You can contact with us online. It's very easy. It's very direct. You can ask us any questions about our programs, our events, or just using your library card or using library resources. And I will let Tanisha share the rest of the information on the slide.
All right. Yep. So we got our programs and events. I think Amanda mentioned that. So if any other library programs, not only along with Computer Science Education Week, I'm going to do another plug for another set of programs I have this week. We're also celebrating around the world. So if you want to celebrate with me around the world, we got those programs as well. And I also included the link for Scratch. It's scratch.mit.edu, but of course you can just do a quick Google search for Scratch and make sure it's just Scratch and MIT, and it'll come right up for you. And I hope that I hope you've learned a little bit of something. I hope you get your Scratch account and go ahead and start creating stuff.
Very cool. Well, thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you down the week for one of our wonderful upcoming programs. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye, guys.